Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Fluxmania, live from my basement. Even though it's not a basement, it's actually an attic. But that doesn't matter, cause we're gonna go and talk about Sleepy Hollow. Okay, so, sorry for the weird stuff, I'm quite psyched. Anyway, we're here today to talk about Sleepy Hollow, a new show that's been out for a couple of months. And, first of all, Sleepy Hollow is immensely popular right now because it's been renewed for a full season pickup after just 3 episodes, which is pretty good if you ask me. I've never, not that I have been around long, but I've never seen a show being picked up for a full season after just 3 episodes. So, alright, I'm eating fruit. Anyway, Sleepy Hollow is a show about a warrior from the Civil War from America who fought the Headless Horseman of Death, and he killed him, he cut off his head, but by doing that their bloodlines connected, they were linked, so he died and so did the Headless Horseman. Then he was like connected to the horseman. He died, his wife put a spell on him, which made it possible for him to be resurrected. So 200 years later, in the present, that's where we are now. And Ichabod Crane woke up in the modern times, and he found out that he had been asleep for 200 years, and now he is, and so with him, the horseman also resurrected and is now terrorizing a small town called Sleepy Hollow. It's pretty awesome, pretty nicely done. So, without any further ado, we're going to talk about some Sleepy Hollow. This week's episode was pretty awesome, actually. It was about how Ichabod Crane, the main character in the show, with Abby Mills, who's played by Nicole Bahari. Ichabod Crane is played by Tom Meissen. Pretty great actors. They really portray their roles very well. And yeah, so there was the horseman. He came back to the town and he was going to kill everybody to get his head back because he's the Headless Horseman, which kind of makes a lot of sense if you ask me, because he's the Headless Horseman. Anyway, he came back to Sleepy Hollow, tried to kill everybody, finding his head, but Abby Mills and Ichabod Crane are going to stop him, and this episode was about them trying to capture death itself. So that was a short summary of this week's episode, and now I'm going to talk in more detail about the episode actually. Well, the title of the episode was The Midnight Ride. It's actually pretty straightforward if you ask me, because in the beginning of the episode they were discussing water, because Ichabod Crane is not used to pay for water. In his time everything was cheap and at least free. Water was free, and he kind of is like, why do I have to pay for water? Why do I have to pay for water? The first scene this week's episode was brought us back to April 18th, 1775. It was the night where Paul Revere went on a ride with his crew to warn the people that the regulars were coming. The regulars are the British soldiers in the American Civil War, and so they went on the ride, and Paul Revere had this document. They were Freemasons, and it was pretty awesome. And Paul Revere got his head cut off, and other people got killed, and they were totally annihilated, and they died like instantaneously. If I pronounce that correctly. I think so. Instantaneously is a word, right? Yeah. Anyway, they died instantaneously. And that was the first scene of the episode, where like these guys were riding horses, like riding my horsey, riding my horsey, riding my horsey, riding my horsey, and then they died. Boom, 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 boom. Died like that. Well, I'm not an American history buff, so I don't really know anything about the American history because I'm not American. I'm Dutch, by the way, if you haven't noticed already. By my quite particular accent. Anyway, They explain the rest in the episode, like what Paul Revere is, what his role was in the history, why he was being chased, Freemasons. Everything is explained in the show itself. You really don't have to worry if you don't know anything about the American history that you can't watch the show, because everything that happened in the past gets explained on the show. So you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, let's continue with the show, right? Well, after the ride of Paul Revere, we went back to a scene where we're cut down. We went to this cabin where Ichabod Crane and Abby Mills were staying, because they have to protect him, because his bloodline with the horseman was cut off in the previous episode. If you follow the show, you will know this. And Abby Mills bought a lot of groceries at the supermarket, and Ichabod Crane was surprised that she had to pay for water. There were like stacks and stacks of water and food, and he was really surprised. And I really love this about the show. This Ichabod modern technology relationship of the show, they really indulge into that. They really try to extract the most comedy out of the situation. Like in one of the previous episodes, Ichabod Crane was in this car and he was talking to a lady on the help desk, and she was trying to help him how to get out of the car and how he had to use the car in a way. So that's really funny, because Tom Meissen really placed it correctly, because in the show, writers and producers really do that great, because you really get the feeling that he doesn't actually know what the fuck is going on. So that's awesome, right? Okay, let's continue with the episode. We're at the cabin. Ichabod Crane is there, Abby Mills is there, and they're all awesomely good and great. And well, the episode actually began there, because anything that happened before that didn't really matter that much. So we're like, so we're at the cabin. Okay, after the cabin, we get a scene where we get to see Abby Mills' ex-boyfriend Luke. Luke is something with an M, a Spanish name. I don't really know. I don't want to be racist, but that's not being racist. I just really don't know anything. Anyway, let's continue. We get to see the scene where Luke is confronting Abby and trying to get her to go take a coffee with him, but she says, I'm too busy, blah blah blah, so how about tomorrow? So they get a date for tomorrow, they want to have a coffee, blah blah blah, coffee. So they plan that date, and the camera switches to this guy in the distance who's like heavily breathing and like being really creepy. He's watching them from a distance, and we don't get to see a face. We just get to see that there's someone standing like 50 feet away, and like, it's a raping time. That's kind of the feeling that you get when you watch